Welcome to this explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're tackling something that can, honestly, completely transform your day-to-day life as an educator. We're kicking off Module 1 of our Behavioral Data Collection series, and we're zeroing right in on the core mindset of capturing data in the classroom. And here's the best part. We're going to do it without that heavy, overwhelming pressure of feeling like you have to fix everything right on the spot. So let's dive right in. Okay, picture this. You're right in the middle of a fantastic lesson, and suddenly, total chaos hits your classroom. Maybe a rogue glue stick is flying across the room, or someone is inexplicably barking like a dog. Hey, it happens to the best of us. In that exact moment, it's incredibly natural to feel frustrated, overwhelmed, or just utterly exhausted. But let me ask you a really critical question right off the bat. Are you recording facts or feelings? See, when we document student behavior, it's so incredibly easy to let our own emotions just bleed right onto the paper. Today, we're going to learn exactly how to separate the two.
Think of this explainer as your foundational toolkit. We'll be walking through what data collection actually is, the difference between objective and subjective data, how to smash the tantrum trap, 3 essential classroom tools, and we'll wrap up with the ultimate golden rule of data.
All right, Section 1. What is data collection? Let's clearly define your role in the classroom. Let's start by lifting a massive burden right off your shoulders, okay? We need to get crystal clear about what your job actually entails here. Data collection is simply capturing a raw fact in the moment and writing it down exactly as it happened. That is literally it. Think of it like taking a completely impartial snapshot of your classroom at a specific point in time. A camera doesn't judge the scene it's capturing, right? It just records the light and the shapes exactly as they are. That's exactly what you're doing. You're just capturing the raw facts of the day. And this leads to my absolute favorite point. You do not have to fix the behavior in that moment. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. When you have your data collection sheet sitting in front of you, your only job, your single responsibility in that split second, is to record the information accurately. You absolutely do not have to play psychologist and analyze why it's happening, and you certainly don't have to try and solve the behavior right then and there. Your job is just to document the snapshot. Moving on to Section 2, Objective versus Subjective Data. Time to put on that detective's lens. To take that perfect stress-free snapshot we were just talking about, we really have to understand the dividing line between these two vital concepts. On one side, we have subjective data. This captures the feelings. These are your interpretations, guesses, opinions, or emotional descriptions, like writing down, he was being defiant, or she was having a bad day. But on the flip side, we have objective data, which captures the facts. This is information that is strictly observable, measurable, and completely unbiased. It relies solely on what you can physically measure and observe happening in the room. The absolute easiest way to master this is to adopt a really simple mantra: be the video camera. To successfully log objective facts, you have to become a human video camera. Think about it. A video camera can't record that a student is mad. It just can't. A video camera can only record that a student has their arms crossed, their eyebrows lowered, and is speaking at a high volume. You have to capture only what can be explicitly seen and heard in the room, totally stripping away any of your own emotional commentary. Okay, Section 3, Slashing the Tantrum Trap. Let's talk about eliminating ambiguous words from your records. Now that we've got our video camera mindset locked in, let's put it into practice by getting rid of ambiguous words. Words like tantrum or fit are total traps. Why? Because if you tell 3 different teachers a student had a fit, one teacher might picture a kid crying quietly at their desk, another might picture a kid rolling around on the floor, and a third might picture a kid throwing chairs. It is just way too ambiguous. So instead of a subjective summary, your video camera lens translates that into hard, observable facts. The student screamed and threw a pencil. Let's look at Section 4, the 3 classroom tools, and exactly how we capture these facts. So we know we need to be objective, but how on earth do we actually record these crisp, objective facts efficiently without constantly interrupting our instruction? Well, we rely on a specific, streamlined toolkit: frequency counting, interval recording, and ABC recording. Let's break each of these down right now so you know exactly when to use them. First up is frequency counting, and honestly, it's exactly as simple as it sounds. It just involves making a quick tally mark every single time a specific behavior occurs. It's basically like keeping score. Every time a student leaves their seat without permission, boom, you tick a box. Every time they call out an answer without raising their hand, tally mark. This tool is absolutely perfect for fast, highly repetitive behaviors that have a really clear beginning and a really clear end. And that builds perfectly into our next tool, interval recording. Think of this as your routine daily monitoring. Instead of making yourself crazy counting every single instance, you break your day into blocks of time, say 30-minute intervals, and you simply check a binary yes or no. Usually you document this as a 1 or a 0. A 1 means, yep, the behavior happened at least once during that time block. A 0 means it didn't occur at all. It's an incredibly efficient way to handle general daily tracking without losing your mind. Finally, we have the heavy hitter, ABC recording. This stands for antecedent, behavior, and consequence. This is your structured, targeted documentation used to map out a very specific incident. You aren't just logging that a behavior happened, you're playing detective to identify the trigger, what happened right before, then the behavior itself, and finally the consequence, which is the adult or environmental reaction right after. You usually do this just by quickly checking boxes on a specialized form. It's a game changer because it shifts us from just knowing what happened to actually understanding why it happened.
And that brings us to Section 5, the Golden Rule, the ultimate test for your classroom data.
Every single one of these tools and all of these mindset shifts we've talked about lead us directly to the absolute most critical standard of classroom documentation, the Golden Rule. This rule dictates that if two independent observers witness an event in your classroom, they must be able to count the exact same behavior in the exact same way, relying strictly on objective facts. So if your principal walked into your room and a paraprofessional was already standing there, they should both be able to read your behavior definition and tally the exact same number of incidents. There is zero room for interpretation. So why does this matter so much? Because objective facts build team trust and they drive accurate decisions. When your entire educational team, from you, the classroom teacher, to the school psychologist, all the way up to administration, records behavior using these shared, completely objective definitions, you build immense trust in the data. You aren't sitting in a meeting arguing over whether a student was frustrated or not. You're all looking at the exact same hard numbers, which allows you to make highly accurate, truly supportive decisions for your students. As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with something to really chew on. As you head back into your classroom tomorrow and you pick up that clipboard or your tablet, I want you to ask yourself this one final provocative question. Would the data you recorded today actually pass the Golden Rule test? Are you really writing down the facts, or are you accidentally letting those feelings slip back in? Remember, be the video camera, use your 3 tools wisely, and keep things perfectly objective. You've got this. Thanks so much for exploring this with us today.